Hey, what's up, everybody? It's me, Danae, and I'm here with a message for you. Happy Wednesday. It's July 24th, 2024. Okay. Didn't even catch that. Hope you're doing well. Gonna get right into it. Cut the cards a bit and see what we got. Ooh, Hermit. Virgo energy. Mastery, ascended mastery at that, but certainly first the precursor of ascended mastery as this plane goes by ever so intrusively is to master oneself. Well, even before that is to submit to self-discovery and enlightenment through your inner, through, internal navigation and discipline and reflection. And then ultimately, if you are, submitted to that process, it unfolds itself eventually into mastery on elevating levels of self, of surroundings, of your spirit nature, your primal nature, even of a particular trade or like a particular, I keep missing a word for this, craft, let's say. Virgos are the ones, that don't mind the relentless devotion to practice and even research, practice for the purpose of perfection as ultimately the goal in this energy. But even if perfection, so to speak, is never attained, the devotion to practice and improvement certainly does yield results, right? Which is why mastery ultimately, in whatever way, shape one is focused upon it, is what ultimately occurs, what ultimately comes to be. So let's see. Ooh, okay. Mastery of unconditional love? Damn. This is somebody that is like, this is just the energy of somebody just like, how can I even say it? Like devout to love and man, I don't know, how can I say this? Like the way that a person in this energy loves is like so out of this world, it's not normal. This is somebody that doesn't hold themselves to the menial standards of love, of conditional love, even as they understand it though. So it's like you understand the human nature of love with conditions, but somehow you are able to transcend that even for yourself. Like even your love for yourself is like supernatural. And I guess that's where it would start, right? Back to my point of when it's an internal focus first, it ultimately has nowhere else to go but out if one, chooses for it to do so. But someone may be so devout, like almost having become a student of love, through perhaps the education of their experiences, good, bad, and indifferent, taking the core value of that enlightenment, and I would venture to say alchemizing it in some practical and spiritual way, in a way that not only makes sense of what you've experienced, but then also helps you to transcend what are we transcending? Transcend damn, it's a word I want to hear. The commonality of it, like it's like graduation and matriculation. I don't even know which one, because it's like an ascension, but also a moving on. So like someone that knows that there's still yet more that can be learned, and perhaps even the experience that would ultimately become lessons in love, but the way in which now that they have almost conditioned themselves to be a student is the mastery. That's interesting. That is the mastery. So that on each and every new level or new experience, because it's like the difference between somebody that has poor study habits and one that has really disciplined study habits. And in this case, someone that is not only not afraid to learn, and in this way it will most likely be through experiences, because that's what most of what love is. They thrive on it, like someone that looks forward to the next opportunity to be enlightened, and therefore they always are, and they continue to expand. Like this is like I said, unconditional, unlimited, continue to expand in their capacity to love, because they're always open to learn from it, to learn of it, to learn for it. I don't think I'm saying that the way that I feel it. It's deep though. Because it's like this, it's mastery, because there's an acceptance and even a reverence for the sheer fact that you're an eternal student of love. Like you could never have learned too much by way of your capacity to receive love and also to reciprocate it or express it. That's really interesting to me. Wow, and here's the intellect here with the Queen of Swords. And what did I hear of the Queen of Swords earlier? I was thinking of her telepathy from the reading yesterday, I realized that that was a strong concept that I didn't really call out in yesterday's message, especially it was like the Queen of Swords, the High Priestess, and then the Star. It was something telepathic, and I'm thankful that I'm hearing it now. Jeez. Wow. I'm thankful that I'm hearing it now, because I think it, obviously, confirmation applies in some way here. And also, especially with the, that doesn't matter. Either way, this is a supreme student and teacher of love. Largely on account of the capacity to I'll say the aptitude of someone's emotional intelligence with these three elements alone, but then with the Hermit card, this is like emotional, intellectual genius. Because the Queen of Swords is someone that is not only, but doubled down with the High Priestess. This is like having a high sensibility of spiritual concepts and ideals, and being able to first conceptualize those in your spiritual and energetic being, to study it, to actually like navigate that study guide of what you're feeling, what you're sensing, what does it mean, maybe even to compare notes from times before to now, to even observe yourself, like almost make a case study of yourself and your senses. And then the Queen of Swords is an energy that knows how to deduct reasoning from all of that sensibility, so that it's not just lofty, ethereal ideas and concepts, but it's something that's actually practically broken down to make sense, even to be applied in a practical way, or at least understood, but there's something about application here with the Queen of Swords, and also communication. Wow, I have like chills. This is deep. And with the Five of Wands here, I immediately just feel like, on sight, I just felt like that's just competition, because yes, as my son says, like, why not? Why wouldn't it be with all this faculty here? This is like a recipe for unnecessary competition, for friendly competition, for energies that feel threatened by this level of genius, or intelligence, whatever it is. Like, even just the sheer independence of it all would pose a threat to anyone that has any level of insecurity in them, because it provokes you to projectively feel inferior, which is what a lot of, the competition that arises, of which you did not call in, is a matter of, of feeling like insecurities provoking you to feel like you almost have to prove yourself to be better than or to measure up, or God forbid you don't feel like you could do either of those things, and then you just are provoked to want to destroy or disrupt, disturb. God forbid you just let somebody be, right? And go get your own brand. Like, remember what I said, like this started by way of simply the curiosity of self-discovery. That's it. That's all. That's where it began. That's where it begins, to the point where everyone has access to this overflow with the Ace of Cups here. What is that Ace of Cups? I guess it is to a special anointing that can only come by way of what is prescriptive to you, the journey you've committed to take, and the one that you get to continue to make. So this is what really makes the competition so silly. You know, that's why it's here in this form as the Five of Wands. Not because it's not threatening, because it can be. Not because it shouldn't be, you know, it should be disregarded necessarily, because it really shouldn't be, you know, holistically. It doesn't have to be in fear to acknowledge it, but it still is. It, you know, it still has the potential to make an impact or an impression where your defenses may be down, particularly where your integrity could be low, or where your self-esteem wavers, you know. But again, it's what makes it silly, because any one of these five could have access. He's holding the staff, and all he did is go within to discover who he is, he or she in this case, because this is more spirit than it even is, of course, like gender. All of it, actually. This discover who you are internally, truly at the core. Allow that self to be loved unconditionally and unlimitedly, you know, to purge and filter out those insecurities, those, you know, to even shed light on the shadows of yourself, to purge the trauma, filter the toxicity, whatever it is, like to make sense of it. Like I said, it's like a deep love that one was pleased or at least intrigued, I will say, to navigate. That's all it takes. And I mean, if there's any opportunity to be selfish and self-serving, it's in this dynamic here. It's an open invitation that, as I said, leads to mastery of some kind, that in this vibration has to be productive. There's just no other way. You know, like, if you're doing it right, it leads to something productive and prosperous. That's the only path, you know, the only destination on this path. All right, I'm gonna move on. Five of Wands on the bottom. I feel like there's so much more I could say, though. And here's the Four of Pentacles. This holding on. Or is this conservation of energy? Let's see. No, it's holding on. Let's try this again. I did this before and it kind of came out a little janky, but I want to try to get some extra cards on the board. Yeah, and this is, to me, this is like the energy of that I'm speaking of, where coming off of that Five of Wands, looking to almost seize control of an outcome through very material or exclusively material efforts, I would say in this case, but is devoid of doing that inner work here with the Nine of Wands. This could be the initiation of then the internal work, which here's hoping, but that's all it could be at this point. It couldn't be a direct segue to this, and that may actually be what I'm sensing, is that somebody thought they could control or, to forcefully navigate themselves into this this magnitude of spiritual favor, again, of which is not exclusive or it is sacred, but not because it's not available to others, but it's like somebody that rather not do the work but still reap all the benefits of this faculty here. To just kind of somehow seize the gift of emotional intelligence and intuition and what did I say, the Ace of Pentacles? Like this anointed I don't even know. There's something deeper with this Ace of Cups that I haven't grasped yet. But they want all this, pretty much, without taking this journey. And that leads back to this Nine of Wands energy every time. Somebody will get enough of beating themselves down, beating themselves to a pulp, ultimately creating more energetic imbalances for themselves to seize this, well, I'll say to infiltrate even this sacred space. And again, here's the silly part. It's an internal entrance. It's not outside. It's not through materials. It's not through what accolades and positions you can acquire. It's not even through position appointments. It's none of that. The gateway is inside of them. So maybe perhaps they're getting to know that. Let's see what's on the bottom. The Three of Wands. The Three of Cups and the Three of Pentacles. Interesting that this slid up, because I wouldn't have seen the Three of Pentacles otherwise. And you know how this has been coming up if you've been watching, like someone kind of desperately, or individuals desperately submitting themselves to the in crowd or to some camaraderie or collective unit of individuals that, are united for some usually material purpose, right? But here's the Three of Cups, which is a different frequency than the Pentacles. Perhaps that is someone from the Four of Pentacles to the Three, seeing the difference in the value of the material over the spiritual rewards, you know, finally seeing the disparity between the two. I don't know, it perhaps it's possible. And again, that could be the segue to initiate this path, that alone for sure, but I don't know. The Three of Pentacles and the Three of Cups, it could also mean that someone still finds too much value in the celebration of, or the benefits of being included, you know, like inclusivity over solidarity, you know, something like that, where is what keeps a lot of people from the path of the Hermit, because it is a solo journey. You know, it definitely denotes someone that may be more or less like in solitude, because that's kind of the only way you can really get to know yourself. Even if, you know, somebody's still going to work or whatever the case may be, it's like really having a commitment to self in a way where you eliminate a lot of the distractions that keep you busy from yourself, that maintain that noise interference that more or less overrides your inner voice. So you kind of have to eliminate those elements. So it could mean that someone is seeing the difference and weighing, you know, the cost or, you know, the potential reward. Or it could be that someone is still in this energy, or those that are still of the spirit of the Five of Wands are still more or less stuck in this position of perception, because there's still too much emphasis and dependency on inclusion, or being or not missing out, being a part of a crowd, a part of the crowd, popular, not missing the party, not, you know, the Hermit ain't always a good time, you know what I mean? Like it eventually, as the Hermit, you start to like it too much. You have to actually coax yourself to be more social again and to connect with the outside world more intentionally, especially when it's done right, you know, or I'll say righteously, if anything, because I guess there's no right way to do it. But you eventually become so engaged with your inner self that that's kind of all you really want to be with, because you get to become so enlightened, I should say, about the distractions and the things that have kept you from that inner connection for so long that you weren't aware of before, that you are very cautious of incorporating those elements back into your life, or submitting yourself back into them, you know. And oftentimes you never come back the same, even if it's back to the social circles that you left. Like usually there's something different about you, that if these spaces and faces have not changed internally, there's a discomfort there that will never be truly satisfied. So it could even be somebody finding themselves in that discomfort now, or where they try to fit in and realize that, you know, there's just no way to do so, that something has to give. More importantly, they have to give to themselves. Yeah. And I feel like everybody, although it's a unique path and a unique journey, I feel like it's like a rites of passage, I think. You know, if for you to evolve a certain way, and, you know, particularly in this very sacred, ascended, transcended frequency here. This is the gateway. Like, it's virtually impossible for you to evolve from the inside out with no change from the outside in. You know, still going to all the same places you did, having all the same friends, dealing with all the same drama and trauma, dating all the same people, partying just like you used to, eating like you used to, you know, socializing, recreationally living like you, it's that something has to change again in order for this journey to be initiated. And the hardest part really is the initiation. Well, not hardest, but that's the most I feel like that can be the most intense part of it all, because a lot of times the initiation doesn't usually come on account of you being, you know, fully submitted and prostrate to the process, if you know what that word means. Just kind of like completely surrendered and laid out in the spirit, you know, like that's more of a religious term. It doesn't usually come that way on account of it being a favorable invitation. Usually something does happen, you know, where you have some type of drastic change in your life that incites you to want to explore more. And, you know, in those drastic moments, like say even a tower moment type of experience, you really do have two paths. You can kind of go down the path of more distractions and doubling down on numbing yourself to your reality, or you can go down the path of enlightenment and self-discovery. And, you know, it's definitely not set in stone who and how and what that decision gets to be. You know, it's unique to everyone, but as I said, like to be provoked to even consider the journey, and this is kind of the prostrate energy here, usually comes on account of having incurred an experience where the trauma and drama, or whatever, you know, whatever it is you've incurred, can only lead one way or the other. You know, so like I said, that's why I'm saying that the initiation can be intense, or could be the hardest part, because otherwise you may have continued on in your Three of Pentacles, Three of Cups life, you know, if it wasn't for some type of confrontation or some type of occurrence to have you consider something otherwise. And on the flip side, you could go deeper into that life if you don't see the value in taking this very mysterious pathway, or again, the intrigue is what it is, and having the courage to take this pathway of which you have no idea what you're going to meet, including of yourself, along the journey. You know what you could get with more partying and bullshit. You know, for the most part. You know you can numb yourself till you feel good, maybe sex yourself till doesn't matter, at least for the night. Smoke yourself till, you know, you're good and high. Drink yourself into oblivion, party until you can't dance no more. You know, so even less aggressive activities. You know, maybe eating or shopping or Just always surrounding yourself with hella people, hella friends, always on the phone, chit-chatting, never a moment of quiet, like all the things that we do to kind of keep ourselves busy. You know what that leads to. You know what it affords and what it rewards, if you know anything at all. But this is mysterious, which is why there's such a great reward, especially when you commit to it, again, righteously. You find some really surprising elements along the way that engage you so that you're locked in. From my experience, maybe not everybody's, but yeah, here's the devil card, and this is addictions, obsessions, possessions, distractions, dark influences to kind of just keep you on the path of most resistance. A stark comparison from the Four of Swords, where you're in recovery, meditation, relaxation, prayer even. Did I say meditation? I think so. You're submitted to sanctity. This is the opposite of that. So again, I cannot tell. Let's see what's at the bottom. Oh, well, the Ace of Wands. I don't know. This isn't looking good, though. It's not feeling good either. It feels like an obsession with power. The word omnipotence has been coming up lately, which again is something, as I titled it in one of my most recent videos, that's a delusion of grandeur when you have no self-control. If you're still stuck in addictions and fixated on how you can control everything else outside of you, but haven't taken the journey to discover what's inside of you, haven't taken the initiative to assume accountability and responsibility for where you are in this very moment, haven't taken the time to recover, this element here is virtually out of reach. The love, the Ace of Cups, is always available whenever you want to, whenever you want to access it, it's there. The thing is, though, it's never changing, but you kind of have to be conditioned to a certain level of reception to reap the full benefits of it. Otherwise, you're just getting wet. Like you're not really being saturated, certainly not being healed. You're just getting wet, So the difference between, I feel, that and the Ace of Wands is this is something that is earned, and certainly something that is it's not that it's earned by way of your own merit, not procured through that of anyone else's. So anyone that would have the entitlement to its possession is already out of order. And like I said, back here to this Nine of Wands, like, will be thoroughly disappointed and dejected from even accessing it, certainly in its pure form. Now, what is projected of power from lower, from the lower frequencies is an illusion. It's fleeting. It's not long lasting. It's not sustainable, and it's not satisfying. that's what caused you to need to kind of re-up over and over again. So back to the point of finding your satisfaction in activities and distractions and people and places and things, you'll always need to refuel on that if that's what your source of power is. It'll never be enough. This unlimited, always flowing, especially when you found the resource from the inside out. You found your way to your healing, your understanding, your appreciation of yourself, the value of your gifts and talents and abilities, your intellect. You've cleared the channel of telepathic communication, so to speak, between yourself and the divine, or at least between yourself and your supreme, again, by way of this gateway of self-discovery. That is the well that never runs dry. You'll never run out of energy. You'll never run, even when you almost feel like you do. I'll say this, you'll never run out of fuel. You may sometimes run low on energy. You may get tired, may get weary, even of dealing with outside influences that want to compete with you over what's just innately yours or what you've earned by merit or whatever. Like sometimes it can wear down on you and you're like, not another fight, but ultimately the fuel and life force that you'll have to recharge on, it's ever flowing. It's ever flowing. Like you'll never run out of perception, a clear perception on how to see a thing, a situation, or even if it's a conflict or a confrontation, you'll always have the perception to see it clearly for what it is. You'll always have the personal security to love yourself when no one else loves you, or when nobody else is thinking about you, or when you don't get any support otherwise or validation otherwise. You'll always have the intrigue and the ambition to learn how to be better from your experiences, or learn or take your life lessons and alchemize them into something materially productive even, or certainly spiritually productive. You'll always have the integrity to keep your head above water, above your, emotional, that dark emotional undercurrent, that psychological undercurrent that can take you down and wipe you out at any moment. You'll always have the integrity and emotional intelligence to keep your head up and above and live above the fray. That's the commodity of this process, that ultimately is powerful, is empowering, and is the access to omnipotence in your own personal life force, not over someone else, not even over the divine, of course, but supreme self-control and authority over your creative power, meaning you could literally make something of whatever it is that you have in possession, or whatever it is that you incur, and it be productive because of where it's like the ignition of power here and creativity with the Ace of Wands, because of the purity of your life force fuel. That overrides demonic forces, and it overrides even, like I said, those temporary satisfactions and temporary sensationalism even, because you ultimately begin to crave the sustenance of this these reliable sources over what you see is fleeting. You get tired of running out. get tired of having to re-up, tired of having to be around people you don't want to be around, do things you don't want to do. Like it wears you out, literally, puts you to rest with the Four of Swords in the adverse, in the less favorable way, where the last thing you want to be is prostrate to to a diabolical agenda. That ain't going nowhere good. Where you literally are dependent on those distractions and temporary satisfactions just to survive. That's no good. So again, I don't know if yeah, look at this. 5 of Pentacles, exactly. Despair leads to sickness, spiritual or physical disease. What's on the bottom here? And somebody's headed straight for it. So I don't know, child. I'm still feeling like somebody's way too ambitious for the wrong things, or some energies are still headed in the opposite direction. Wanted to reclaim these like material attachments. Because again, it's like I said, what the devil gives, like that energy, that immediate gratification. And that in a jam, especially if we're talking even about like survival mode here, you know what immediate relief you could have to kind of like soothe your fears, or to remedy a disparaging situation quickly, even if the consequences are great. It's like, it feels like some energies that are still valuing the quick return over the consequences at this point. Still, even with all the evidence of what's what and what is and what isn't, it's still feeling like that here. Like somebody's still ragefully and aggressively running head first back into an entanglement that's already proven itself to be scarce. But somehow there's like this delusion of resource there, or maybe it's comfort, but it can't be comfort. Like some delusion of stability. It feels like somebody going back and they're like, that maybe they feel like they have a new perspective or something. Like, I got it. I know what I did wrong last time, and this time I'm gonna make it work. But the devil is still the damn devil, child. It ain't never going. It's like when you convince yourself, like, I'm good now, I could just have one drink. Now, I don't have anything against drinking, smoking, none of it, but it's somebody deluding themselves to believe that they don't have a dependency or a problem or a sickness or, a disorder or something. that still hasn't been healed from, mind you, because someone still hasn't taken this journey yet willfully. So it's like somebody feeling like I could just have one drink. Next thing you know, it's 3 of cups. You know, they about 3 to 5 drinks in, and they don't even remember how it happened. Or you could still be around your friends that do X, Y, and Z, even though you don't anymore. It's like, oh, I'm good. I don't even crave that anymore. But you get around that influence, and before you know it, you're doing what you don't want to do. Not to demonize anything that anybody does recreationally or by choice. Trust me, I'm not. But I'm talking about like your own personal integrity. And that's the energy here that I'm sensing for whatever reason. I don't know why it's coming up like this, but somebody that's like, I got it. I can hold my own this time, thinking that they can get back into this entanglement, reap all the benefits of whatever they've enchanted themselves to believe is most valuable, more than their well-being, their ultimate well-being, because it's quicker and faster to get it this way than to take the slow and steady, you know, to be determined route up here, of which there are really no guarantees, you know, particularly of the time and return. But of course, the guarantee is at least, you know, life force. The guarantee here is destruction, almost always. Especially when you're going against your own personal integrity to bind yourself in any person, place, or thing at this point. This could be a relationship, it could be a group of friends, it could be family, it could be a job, it could be a habit, it could be some type of obsession, you know, it could be a fear. You know, the fear of poverty itself that draws you into something that you ultimately really don't want to do, you know. And here's the Queen of Cups, like that, again, that embodiment of self-love. That is the elixir. This is the cure. To nurture yourself, to nourish yourself from a spiritual essence. All of this feels so heavy. Like everything down here feels so heavy. But the water, you know, have to deal with your emotions, your traumas, your fears, the depths of your psyche. It seems like somebody is more afraid, or some people are more afraid of that, which is understandable, because no one really knows what's at the very bottom of the ocean floor in entirety, you know. So that can be a scary thing to navigate, but the devil energy is fear itself, the embodiment of fear, that which ultimately begins to manifest in everything that you do, even in the things that may be profitable or just pretty much profitable, I'll say, because is nothing else really to have some value. There's still the residue of fear all over it, because again, like I said, when you are procuring profit through this channel and through this frequency, it never feels like enough. You could have $100 million and still be afraid to lose it all and not even really enjoy it, or still commit yourself to do things that you feel secure you from maintaining that wealth. You could have $100 in your bank account and not know when you're getting any more. and still feel peaceful and blissful and grounded and secure. It's like, and loved and loving, it's like somebody, people in general, and I don't know how this gets to be. I guess with more and more people being the example of what it looks like to go through and come to the realization of love, that will ultimately, it's kind of like come on in, the water is fine type of energy where people aren't so afraid of that journey and they're more excited, or at least again intrigued by it. Maybe that will be the turnaround point. I mean, I pray so. I pray so. Wow. Damn, that, and I'm gonna take that in reverse, because that is the Page of Cups in reverse. No apologies, no sentiment, no sentimentality. Hell, maybe no love, no, what is that? And you know what, it's also given like, this is that child that ultimately is looking for love in all the wrong places. That's what that is. Traumatized and just looking to fill that cup the best way that they possibly can, with salt water if it needs to be, just for the sake of drinking something. But ultimately, upside down, like I said again, it's like a hole in the cup. It's never filled. It's never fulfilling. Damn, that's deep. Wow. It's never going to be fulfilling. It never really was, and it never will be. This in-crowd seduction here, fixation, to be apart, to be one in the number, to not be left out, to be popular, be cool, be one of the cool kids, to even just like minimally just to be accepted and included. Natural human ideologies. But at some point in time, look, it's all coming back full circle when you realize that your cup can never stay full and you can never be satisfied, holistically in those spaces. It leads you to only one other place. Of course, but look, it's like the two pathways here. As I said, it's like you could continue to go back into this energy where it still leads you to the Four of Pentacles, where it's not abundant. You're just barely hanging on to what you have, which is not fulfilling in itself, and killing yourself trying to control the conservation of even that. And it's not even that much, because you're afraid that you won't get any more, and you're certainly afraid that you don't already have enough to sustain or survive. Or are you going to take this path, which leads you to this high priestess energy of spiritual and carnal integrity, that supreme being there, where you are set apart, you are sanctified, not because you feel you're better than anyone or anything. Because hell, the high priestess liked the party too. But where you know your limits, you know your pitfalls, you know your people, you know the places that are detrimental to your vibration. You know the pitfalls that you could easily become I can't even say a casualty, let's say a casualty of. You know all of that. And you choose to keep yourself in a righteous space to avoid as much of that as possible, particularly on account of your own personal devotion to prosperity. Not for anyone else, not against anyone else. But if there is any competition, back to that Five of Wands in the beginning, it's you looking to ultimately elevate beyond the you that you were before. Always internally looking to advance. And fortunately and unfortunately, a lot of times when you are committed to that pathway, when you're devout to your personal integrity and whatever path is unfolded for you to follow uniquely, a lot of things, a lot of people, a lot of places change in value. Wow, but it's so worth it though. With the Ten of Pentacles, it's everything. It's your inheritance. This is the ultimate prosperity here. Nothing left to be desired. The question of, is there a return, a reward? Absolutely. On the righteous path, yes it is. And again, righteous does not mean religion, justice. It absolutely, the cause and effect. It doesn't mean religious. It means a commitment and devotion to supreme integrity, to the identity of your supreme nature, the nature of your supreme identity, I should say. And that's just being the best that you can possibly be at all times, at all costs. That's all it is. I don't care what nobody says. It's that simple. And those that want to complicate it have yet to really take that journey for themselves either. I said it. Yeah, I said it. They still got a long way to go too. So, anyway, like I said, the hardest part is initiating yourself on that path. Once you're committed and devoted, it kind of carries you, the current kind of just like the Ace of Cups, it kind of just carries you right on along if you go with the flow and not against. So here it is here. The Justice is the reception of prosperity. Exuberant prosperity, not just for you, but as always, what you do for yourself is paving the way and curving the what do we call it, like curving the shaving the learning curve for generations to come. And that's the greatest reward, really, if you never see a dime, to know that what you do in this lifetime makes all the difference for your children and your children's children and their children, and so on and so on and so on. Even if you have no children, that everything that you do in the highest integrity makes an eternal impression here, because it does. Like, if you have no business to your name, no property to your name, nothing of material value, the energy that you expel in human form while you're here will remain long after you. And certainly you'd be surprised that so much of what you expel has made such a deep impression on others that also gets to carry on in that same spirit. So don't underestimate yourself. You're a big deal. Whomever I'm talking to that resonates with this, simply on account of choosing the path of self-discovery and doing the work, as we call it, committing to the work of your supreme nature. Like, you are a big deal, and whatever you're doing, it's no small thing. So thank you for your contribution to creation for all of us, and cheers to it. Let's keep up the good work. Literally, the good work. All right, so I'm gonna leave it there. Thank you for watching and listening. Until next time, as always, I leave you with peace.